Hi, I'm Jason with True Sports and Fitness. I'm going to talk to you today about how not all carbs are created equal. Assuming, of course, that your total caloric intake is where it needs to be for the goal of body fat loss, then you can look towards this other tool of quality carbohydrate intake to create greater change. So the thing is if, for example, let's say you burn 2,000 calories a day, and that's your maintenance caloric intake, meaning you can consume 2,000 calories because that's what you'll burn and you can maintain your weight. So if now you will have a goal of losing body fat, you're going to want to have a deficit each day. So in other words, you might consume 1,700 calories, be in a 300 calorie deficit per day, and over the course of 11 days, you'll have burned about a pound of body fat, which is the equivalent of 3,500 calories. So that's the most important, because again, you can have the best quality carbs and all these other nutritional strategies in place and tools, but they will not really do anything unless you have the right caloric intake. That's number one. So, and there's a lot of tools online that you can look at. Certainly, this is something that we also provide here at Trio. But calories are in place. Now we look towards the carbohydrates and how they can help you get greater results. Particularly in terms of quality, which is where South Beach and the Atkins diet gained a lot of popularity because of the results they produced with their plans. So initially what people would find is they'd get great results within a couple weeks because of the quality of carbs that they would consume. And sometimes it'd be a lot less carbs as well. And the reasoning is because how those carbohydrates affect our body and our ability to lose body fat. So the main thing is the difference between simple sugars and complex carbohydrates. So with your simple sugars, it's everything from your granola bars to your chips to fruit juices, anything that typically is just kind of processed and refined. Doesn't really have a whole lot of fiber, loaded with sugar, and what that will do is it'll be a higher glycemic food, so it'll cause a rapid spike in your blood sugar and your insulin levels. Whereas your complex carbohydrates are the opposite end of the spectrum. So, and we'll go back to that in just a moment, but the glycemic index, so you understand, is if you're not familiar with it, it's a scale that rates carbohydrates and carbohydrates alone and how they affect your blood sugar levels. It's a scale of 0 to 100. So if you have a low glycemic carb, it's going to have a very, very small impact on your blood sugar, and your body is going to be able to process that and digest it better, and you'll be able to lose body fat more efficiently, just like some of these folks on the South Beach and Atkins plans have. So if you take a high glycemic index food, something like the fruit juices, the bars that are more simple sugar-based, your blood sugar and blood insulin levels are going to skyrocket, and that's going to basically tell your body, hey, we have all this energy, insulin's released, and in the presence of insulin, you're not going to be able to break down body fat as efficiently. So it's extremely important to have better quality carbs as a majority of your total percentage of calories. So, for instance, if you're going to have a couple hundred grams a day for carbohydrates, this is hypothetical. It'll obviously differ based on the person, their needs, their weight, so on and so forth. But if you had a couple hundred grams of carbs per day, you're not going to want to have 150 grams of those from all simple sugars. That'll wreak havoc on your ability to lose body fat, get where you want to go. So what you really need to do is have breakfast, lunch, dinner with more complex carbohydrates. Breakfast being your oatmeals, your healthy cereals, like a lot of your kashi cereals. For lunch, you might have whole wheat bread instead of white bread. For dinner, you have a starch and a protein, like a couscous, quinoa, something like that, with a protein. And what those complex carbs are going to do is they're going to be lowering, they'll have a lower glycemic index rating, so your blood sugar is going to be more stable throughout the day. Your energy levels will be much higher, and you're not going to have these nasty crashes like a little kid does when he just consumes all kinds of sugar, and then 2 hours later is just laying on the floor sleeping. Or like some people do in work. A lot of folks that we've dealt with, around 1 or 2 o'clock, they just have a crash. And a lot of times that's attributed to what they ate prior to that, a couple hours before. And if it is composed of more simple sugars, that blood sugar skyrockets, It's consumed and used by the body very quickly because of all that insulin that's released, and then blood sugar just bottoms out, and along with your energy. So the glycemic index, again, is going to rate the quality of those carbohydrates. Bottom line, if you're having carbs that are whole grains, more organic based, higher fiber, low sugar, and even have some proteins in there, it's going to be a lower glycemic carb. For instance, even a banana, an unripened banana, more on the green side of things, is going to have a score of about 30, whereas as you get to more ripened, where now you're looking at kind of the brown type banana, a little soggy, not exactly the best tasty. Now it's going to be to about a score of 52. Higher the score, higher glycemic it is, more blood sugar, more insulin is released, the worse it is on your body as a general rule of thumb for body fat loss and just general health. It affects your blood chemistry and everything in negative ways. So the best thing you can do is, assuming again that you have the right amount of calories that you need each day to be set up to lose body fat, then you can look towards other tools, one of which is what we just described. Having higher quality carbs is a main component of where you're getting most of your carbohydrates from in your diet. From there, just using those two tools, you should be able to see great change over time. And that's just a healthier way of eating throughout the course of your life. It's not a diet, it's what you want to do regularly. From there, if you want to keep taking a step further or accelerate yourself into greater change, then you can look towards doing and implementing a lot of other tools like cycling your calories, or what percentage of calories are made up of carbohydrates, protein, and fat, portion size, meal frequency, timing is real critical, and a lot of other little things. So for now, start with that. Again, the glycemic index is extremely important. There's a lot of great information out there, and that should help you take your results and get to your goal one step further.